Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Susan Brady. Thank you for joining me. Estrogen is what makes a woman uniquely female, and it's a critical hormone for the proper function of almost every organ in a woman's body, from our reproductive organs to our skin, our brain, our heart, our intestines, and our bones. And all of the cells in these tissues have what we call estrogen receptors on them, where the estrogen binds to the cells and produces its effects. And it's kind of like a lock and key system where you have a specific configuration where the two match up, the receptor site responds, and estrogen can do its thing. However, there are certain environmental chemicals that mimic the same structure of estrogen, and they can either block or bind to these estrogen receptors on our cells and prevent our biological estrogen, that estrogen that our body produces, from binding there. And these chemicals are called xenoestrogens, and they're essentially artificial estrogens. And when these xenoestrogens bind to our cells, they interfere with the normal activity of estrogen. It disrupts the proper functioning of our hormone system, which then can lead to all kinds of health issues. Now, we know that many xenoestrogens can interfere with bone remodeling, which then leads to bone loss and bone fractures. They can also increase our susceptibility to cancers such as breast and uterine and ovarian cancers in women. Even in men, they can increase the risk of prostate and testicular cancer. They can also lead to a predisposition of hypothyroidism, weight gain, poor memory, neurologic disorders, diabetes, and much, much more. So, what are these xenoestrogens and where do they come from? Well, unfortunately, they're everywhere, and you are likely being exposed to xenoestrogens every day from the food you eat, the water you drink, the medication you take, the personal care products you use, the cleaners you use, plastic containers that you store your food in. And what happens is when these chemicals get in our body, they actually get stored in our fat and they build up over time, and they can remain there for years and have effects for years. So, for instance, phthalates are a known xenoestrogen, and they're a group of chemicals used to make plastics more durable. So they're very common in things like your plastic food storage containers. But they're also widely used in hundreds of other products such as cosmetics and nail polish and soaps and shampoos, vinyl flooring, toys that our kids and our grandkids play with. They're also found in food, so your grains and beef and pork and chicken, because what happens is they leach into our water and our soil, and then they're taken up by the plants and animals that we then consume. Another common xenoestrogen are called alkphenols, which are added to detergents and cleaning products, hair care products, pesticides, and certain hand sanitizers. And what's interesting that many of these alkylphenols have been banned in Europe, yet here in the United States we're still allowing manufacturers to put these toxins into our personal care products. There are also chemicals called parabens, which can be found in, again, personal care products, makeups, lotions, sunscreens, and essentially any product that contains fragrances will most likely contain these parabens. And I think most of us have heard of bisphenol A or BPAs used in water bottles. They're also, again, used in personal hygiene products or the coating on the inner lining of a can of food. And what's interesting is they're also on these thermal printer receipts that we get when we check out at a store. And you might think, well, what's the big deal. It's on a receipt that I touch maybe once or twice. But what happens is they get absorbed from the thermal receipts into your skin, and then they go into your bloodstream. And researchers believe that these cash register receipts are probably the most significant exposure that we have to BPA's. Luckily and thankfully, some stores like Target and CVS and Trader Joe's and Mom's Organics and Whole Foods, they've all started to switch over to using these BPA-free receipt papers. And then lastly, pesticides are probably the biggest source of xenoestrogens. These conventionally grown foods are loaded with xenoestrogenic pesticides and insecticides and herbicides, and all of them can affect our hormone balance. So you can see how easy it is to be exposed to these xenoestrogens every single day. What can you do about it? Well, the best thing, obviously, is to try and minimize your exposure to them. So reduce your use of plastics whenever possible. And be especially sure not to microwave food in plastic containers, because when the plastic heats up, it can cause those chemicals to leach into your food. And the same thing with those plastic water bottles. If they're left out in the sun or in a hot car, they heat up and the chemicals can leach into the water. And just in general, it's best to avoid using plastic water bottles altogether. Start looking for chemical-free, biodegradable laundry detergents and household cleaning products. Check the labels on your personal care items for these toxic chemicals such as parabens and phthalates, and try to find more natural, chemical-free shampoos and soaps and makeups. And when you're buying canned food, look for the PBA-free logo on the can. So this can says PBA-free liner, and then you know that that can isn't going to have PBAs in it. Eat organic, non-GMO foods. That's also going to decrease your exposure to pesticides and these artificial hormones. Keep your gut healthy and your digestive tract healthy. Having a healthy GI system is going to help to maintain healthy elimination of these toxins and healthy detoxification. And then lastly, another thing you can do is add more cruciferous vegetables into your diet. So vegetables like broccoli and cabbage and Brussels sprouts and cauliflower, they all contain a phytochemical called indole-3-carbinol. And that can help to detoxify and clear the body of these xenoestrogens. And broccoli is especially high in this compound. So I don't mean to scare you with this information, but I do think it's important to understand how toxins in our environment and in the products we use every day can affect our health. And if you really truly want to optimize your health, you have to take a holistic view. So it's not only the food we eat and our exercise and our sleep and our digestion and our stress reduction, it's also best we can trying to avoid all of these toxins in our lives. And this is especially true when it comes to bone health. We get so hung up on what supplements to take, what diet to eat, what exercise to do. And all those things are really, really important. But we also have to realize that in order to strengthen our bones, it takes a comprehensive, multifaceted approach that certainly addresses diet, exercise, and supplements, but also digestion, detoxification, along with a lifestyle that decreases our exposure to toxins. I am certainly happy to help you put together that comprehensive approach to your bone health, or for any issue that you may be facing. Just simply reach out. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day and a very healthy rest of your week.